Some people believe that those who keep their distance from everyone must be cold, unfriendly, or emotionally closed off. But psychology suggests something very different may be happening beneath the surface. For some people, keeping distance is not a sign of weakness or failure. It is often a psychological adaptation, the mind's way of protecting energy, stability, and emotional clarity. If you've ever felt more comfortable observing people than constantly being around them, you might recognize yourself here. If crowds drain you, small talk feels exhausting. Or you naturally prefer space between yourself and others. That experience may not be accidental. Psychologists often find that people who keep their distance share certain psychological patterns that are rarely talked about. Patterns related to emotional sensitivity, deep internal processing, and the way the brain manages social energy. If exploring the hidden psychology behind human behavior interests you, a simple like helps this video reach people who enjoy these ideas too. And if you enjoy understanding how the mind works, you're always welcome to subscribe and stay with the channel. Now let's explore the psychological traits often found in people who naturally keep their distance from others. 1. They observe more than they participate. Some people walk into a room and immediately become part of the conversation. Others do something different. They sit back, stay quiet, and watch the dynamics of the room unfold. At first glance, this behavior can look like social distance or even disinterest. But psychology suggests something more complex may be happening beneath the surface. Some individuals naturally process social information more deeply. Facial expressions, tone of voice, emotional shifts, and subtle signals are all being analyzed at the same time. For these individuals, social interaction is not just casual conversation. It is a continuous stream of information. Because of this deeper processing, constant interaction can feel mentally demanding. The brain often prefers observation before engagement. What appears to be distance is often something else entirely. It is a mind quietly studying its environment before deciding how to participate. 2. Social interaction can drain their energy faster. Another pattern often noticed in people who keep their distance is how quickly their energy fades during prolonged social interaction. Crowded places, long conversations, or environments filled with constant stimulation can feel mentally exhausting. From a neurological perspective, this is related to how the brain regulates stimulation. Some nervous systems respond more intensely to social input. Every conversation, emotional cue, and environmental detail is processed more deeply. When stimulation accumulates too quickly, the brain begins to seek distance as a way to regulate itself. In this context, distance is not rejection. It is regulation. Creating space allows the nervous system to return to balance, restoring clarity and preventing cognitive overload. For many people, solitude simply functions as a reset for the mind. 3. They prefer depth over constant connection. People who keep their distance often maintain fewer relationships, but those relationships tend to be deeper and more meaningful. Instead of constant social interaction, they often look for conversations that feel genuine, thoughtful, or intellectually engaging. Psychology suggests this pattern is connected to emotional processing. Some individuals experience emotional exchanges more intensely than others. Because of this, superficial interactions may feel draining rather than rewarding. Distance, in this case, becomes a natural filter. Rather than rejecting people, the mind simply conserves emotional energy for relationships that feel truly meaningful. What looks like social withdrawal may actually be a careful investment of emotional attention. 4. They need psychological space to think clearly. Many people who keep their distance share a strong need for personal psychological space. They think more clearly when they have time alone. They feel more balanced when they can step away from constant interaction. Human interaction requires continuous interpretation of signals: tone, emotion, intention, expectation. When these signals appear without pause, the brain can become overloaded. Creating distance reduces that constant input and allows the mind to reorganize itself. In many ways, solitude functions as a mental reset. It allows thoughts to settle, emotions to regulate, and attention to refocus. For these individuals, personal space is not isolation. It is clarity. 5. They spend more time in internal reflection. People who keep their distance often have a strong tendency toward reflection. They spend significant time thinking about experiences, analyzing emotions, and noticing patterns in human behavior. Neuroscience shows that this reflective process activates brain systems related to introspection and self-awareness, particularly regions associated with the brain's default mode network. Because their attention frequently turns inward, the external social world sometimes becomes secondary. Interaction may feel less compelling than the process of understanding ideas, emotions, and patterns. Distance, therefore, creates space for reflection. What others might interpret as isolation can actually be a mind deeply engaged with its own internal landscape. 6. They are more sensitive to emotional environments. Another psychological trait, often associated with social distance, is heightened sensitivity to emotional environments. Some individuals can quickly sense tension in a room. They notice subtle discomfort in conversations, hidden frustration, or emotional shifts that others overlook. Neuroscience suggests that certain brains process emotional signals more intensely, activating networks related to empathy and emotional perception. While this ability increases awareness, it can also make emotionally chaotic environments overwhelming. Distance becomes a way to regulate that intensity. By stepping back, the mind protects its own emotional balance. What appears to be avoidance may actually be a form of emotional self-management. 7. They value independence in thinking. Finally, people who keep their distance often show a strong preference for independent thinking. Rather than relying heavily on group opinions, they tend to form their own conclusions through reflection and internal reasoning. Psychologists sometimes describe this tendency as relying on internal reference points. Beliefs, decisions, and perspectives are shaped through personal evaluation rather than constant social influence. Distance helps protect this independence. By maintaining space from continuous social pressure, the mind preserves its ability to think freely. In this sense, keeping distance is not necessarily about rejecting people. Sometimes it simply reflects a quiet commitment to intellectual and emotional autonomy. People often assume that keeping distance from others means something is wrong with a person. But sometimes, distance is not disconnection at all. It is awareness, reflection, and a mind that processes the world a little differently. What once looked like coldness can also be sensitivity. What looked like withdrawal can be a quiet way of protecting clarity, energy, and emotional balance. So if you've ever felt more comfortable with space around you, it doesn't mean you're broken or alone. It may simply mean your mind operates in a different rhythm than the world expects. In the next video, we'll explore something just as misunderstood: 9 negative traits that secretly indicate high intelligence, and why certain behaviors people criticize may actually reveal a deeper mind. And if these quiet psychological insights resonate with you, subscribing helps this channel continue exploring the hidden patterns of human behavior.